Welcome to another weekly Wednesday Live in Nashville with the Net Group. But today we have a special treat. We get Matt all to ourselves, which this does not happen very often. So we're going to have some fun here, and we're going to take all of the information he's got up in his head right now that we need to know today about due diligence. That's a big word, but there's a lot of categories when we're talking about real estate of all kinds, what due diligence really needs to look like. And Matt has seen it all, and he's going to educate us today. Thanks so much, Matt.
Yeah, good to see you, Amy. So I don't know if we're in for a treat because it's only me or not, but sometimes
It's always a treat.
sometimes me and Marty have to divide and conquer, so we both can't be in the same places. So something came up, so here I am. She did that. But one thing that we're seeing a lot of here lately, especially in this seller's market, is a lot of times buyers are waiving inspections or rushing due diligence or in order to try to win the deal.
We're seeing that everywhere.
It is, and it can be a good strategy, to try to make your offer look better. But at the same time, you got to be careful and make sure you actually get your inspections or your due diligence or all the information you need. Get it done in that time frame. I know we've talked about home inspections a lot, what that looks like, and that's obviously within that. But outside of the actual home inspection, there's a lot of other things to consider. For instance, on houses, is this house in an HOA or is it not? So, okay, what does that HOA say? What can you allow or what will they allow? What won't they allow? We've had buyers, not our buyers, but call in and say, hey, I'm going to put a satellite dish up on this house I just bought that your sellers had. I was like, I'm sorry, the HOA says you can't do that. It was in the listing. They didn't read or their agent didn't read, the restrictions or whatnot.
And that's ultimately, so important.
It is.
You have to know.
You got it. I mean, and ultimately it's the buyer's responsibility, to do that, and we as agents, we try to help guide them and make sure, check this, check that, we can't catch it all. But there's so many things, you got to think about, how am I going to use this property? How am I going to live in this property? Do I have to have a satellite because that's the only way I can see my football games?
Right.
Some HOAs don't allow, say, work vehicles that have logos on them to be in the driveway. I've even seen that. So if your work truck or car, has a logo on it, you're not supposed to park in the driveway. Things like that. I've seen some that won't allow more than so many vehicles in and out of your driveway in a day as if you're running a business, because so many of us now work from home a lot.
Yeah, we're working remote.
And that's fine. And most of them are fine with that. But if it becomes a retail business where people are in and out all the time, you could have issues with your HOA.
Right.
Things like, can I build a fence? Can I, have a grill? A lot of townhomes and condos won't let you have gas grills. Some people don't realize that until after the fact. So that could be a big, bummer, right? Let's say there's other things. There's so many things, and most all of those in an HOA, for the most part, are designed to help protect the other neighbors, help protect your investment. So you don't have all this other stuff going on out there.
But you're right. Some of that information, some of those details might be really important, and to that buyer, say that's a no-go. It's that we have to have this certain thing. And there's such a hurried and a rush right now of just get my offer in. We've got to get it. There's so much competition. Prices are going up and interest rates are going up. Hurry, hurry, hurry. And you're seeing some huge mistakes being made because of hurrying and not being diligent in taking a look at all of these things.
Right. Absolutely. And all it takes is just getting a copy of everything associated with that property
and reading it
and understand what it means, and don't just assume, well, that's just a suggestion. Nobody's going to enforce that. They might not, but at the same time, you're willing to gamble because they might, enforce that rule. And so HOAs and things like that are one thing. Restrictions, some say you can't paint your house unless it's approved by the board.
Oh, we have color charts here. We can only choose from their colors. That's it.
Yeah. For the house, the landscaping, whatever, but there's even more potential issues on vacant land. So if you see 1 acre, 10 acres, 100 acres, whatever, and you're wanting to, buy that, and one day you're going to build a house on it or build a building or whatever you're going to do, there's a lot of other restrictions and zoning issues that come with those. And when we say we're learning every day, I mean, we're learning every day something new all the time.
Right.
So we're dealing with some zoning issues right now on some land. And I'd never even heard of this before, but this particular piece of property is in some sort of a conservation district that won't allow you to do any grading on the property if there's a 20% grade or more. So if it's got some steep spots, you can't do any grading through that. It means you can't build on it or drive through it or whatever.
Wow.
And that's not, you can't just look that up. Nobody's going to tell you that unless you really dig in deep with the city or the county or whoever is in charge, and those are major issues if you're planning on building something on the other side of where that spot is.
You got to do your homework. You got to know if you buy a property then that you can do what you want to do, or you just have a nice piece of land you can't do anything with.
Yeah, and that would be bad, super bad, when you're stuck with that. But there's so many things from when it comes to the land, is from the conservation areas, the stormwater. Stormwater is huge. Where's all the water going to go after it comes off the house in the driveway? They're wanting to protect that. Trees, some restrict you from so many trees you can cut down. How are you going to cross this ditch or this creek? Is it a creek? Can you get water? Can you get sewer? Can you get septic? What size house can you build? How far up, can you build a detached building? All these things come into play that for residential land, and even more complicated with commercial land. So if you go out and buy a 5-acre piece of commercial land and you want to build a business there, there's so many more things you have to research to make sure that you're getting it done right. And that's a lot of these commercial deals we do, the due diligence period. If we put a contract in on it today, we may have 3 or 4 or 6 months or even longer in due diligence period to take it through the zoning, to take it through all the process, to where that client doesn't purchase that property until they know 100% they can do exactly what they want to do.
Wow.
So there's a lot more to from negotiating the deal to closing the deal and being able to do what you want with it.
So many details in the middle that you have seen it all, and you've probably seen some tears, or buyers that just said, what did I just do? How did I miss this? Or do you see that maybe on other parts, because you guys are so great with your clients? I know that you would try to mitigate these things happening, but I'm sure you've heard the horror stories.
We tried our best. I mean, not to say that it doesn't happen. We all look back and say, ooh, but many times I'll see a piece of property that closes and sells, and then just a couple of months later, it's right back on the market. And you wonder,
what happened?
Land, well, for the same price or even less, they can't do what they wanted to do with it, so now they're stuck with it. So I hate it for those people, or those situations. It's got to be tough, but it's just, there's probably no way to catch it all, but we try to help our clients poke any holes and look, to be the safest we can on those purchases. So
another reason we always talk about in these weekly shows of preparing ahead of time, planning ahead of time, doing your homework, and talking to a professional. These are the kind of things that are a prime example of, don't just try to take this in your own hands, because you guys have the experience that you've seen so much, and you learn something new with every transaction. If you're not a professional in this business like you are, you're not even going to know what to ask and what to look for. So having the right professionals to answer these questions, and Matt and Marty have such incredible resources. If they don't know, I guarantee they have someone in their back pocket to make sure that they get those answers, or it gets to the next person to get those answers. And planning ahead, that is so critical. Matt, you've brought some great things to attention today that hopefully would make people go, wait a minute, I better actually look and read this stuff. It's there for a reason, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And we don't have all the answers. And just like you said, we go to a lot of these people too, from the title company, those attorneys, what do we need to look for in this? What does my client, how can we protect them on this deal? Yeah. We go to surveyors. What's this look like? What do we need to look for? Permit expediters. Trying to get a permit in Davidson County is extremely tough sometimes. So go to the people who do nothing but pull permits, see what they know. We talk to them, we talk to engineers, all these people that's what they work in that field to help get our clients to the end game and make sure they're protected. So there's a lot more people involved in going through that process.
Great information today, Matt. Always. And give our best to Marty. We miss her and can't wait to see in the next weeks, hopefully, as that first episode comes out of Live Local, that we saw you guys on location last week. And now you guys are dividing and conquering and making sure that everybody's real estate needs are taken care of. Thank you so much for great information today, and look forward to what you guys have next week.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.